Hi Krista, I've recently developed a useful rule of thumb. So, if you take someone's body and you make it the subject of public discourse, you are probably engaged in objectification. I would say, at best, engaged in objectification, but there are probably some counterexamples. I just can't think of any. So, for example, if I'm at the club and with my friends and I see a cute boy walk past, I lean over to one of them and I say, "Damn, look at that ass. Holy shit." That's objectification. Now, the thing is that objectification is different than if I was doing that same thing about a woman. That seems counterintuitive, but think of it like this, right? There's no institution or industry or social system which is telling that man that his value is connected to his ass. If he has a nice ass, it's just a bonus. It's like another asset. Whereas, with that woman, there's an industry and a social system telling her that her value is tied up in her ass, in her whole physical form. But part of objectification is often reducing people to discrete sexualizable objects, that is, subsets of a human. Now, if it's just me and my friends that are hearing this statement, then it doesn't really have that much of an impact. But it is still, in the case of me talking about that woman, sexism. Because I'm reinforcing the social system which determines women's value based on their physical appearance and reduces women to a set of sexualizable objects instead of a whole human being. So, when well-intentioned straight male friends say things like, "Women, you're beautiful as you are. You don't need to wear makeup," they're doing this same sort of objectification thing, perhaps with the best of intentions. But in making women's bodies, and specifically their beauty, the subject of public discourse, they are reinforcing the notion that women's value is bound up in their physical appearance. At the same time, this is rooted in some sort of assumption that women's appearance has anything to do with them. As if their judgment of women's beauty is the reason that women wear makeup or elect not to. As if the entirety of a woman's public persona is created for male consumption. The male gaze, this is sometimes called. And as we saw on your Facebook page today, this is a thing that people do to fat people all the time. Although usually the trope is not about beauty, but rather health. As you said so eloquently just earlier today, you can't actually tell anything about a person's health by looking at them, or measuring how much they weigh, or even determining their body mass index, or their body fat percentage. None of those metrics will tell you very much about a person's health. But every goddamn day I have to hear about somebody who wants to play doctor. They know by looking at someone, well, there is something wrong with you, and you need to get medical treatment for your obesity disease. Fat people have a secret power. We turn all thin people into medical professionals. It's magic. But the thing is, that's not true. And actually, assumptions like that interfere with our ability to access proper medical care, because doctors are unwilling to treat conditions because they see them as a symptom of our obesity as opposed to what they are, which is actual diseases that thin people also have. I'm digressing because the issue here is one of framing, because even if you could tell by looking at someone something about their health, the thing is, their health isn't actually any of your goddamn business, and their health doesn't determine their value as a human being. I know I'm going over time a little bit, but I feel like this is educational. If I see one more fucking news story where the accompanying graphic is a decapitated fucking fat person's body, I will vomit. This is also a thing that white people do to people of color, especially women of color, making their bodies the subject of public discourse, reducing their bodies to a series of objects, and in the case of cultural appropriation, then taking those objects out of their cultural context and appropriating them. It's pretty gross. But in a culture as media-saturated as ours, it's really hard to resist this. I think of myself as being a fairly aware person, engaged in cultural critique and self-reflection, and yet every time I see a picture of Nicki Minaj on the Tumblr, it's really hard for me not to just reblog with like, "Oh my god, she's so beautiful, look at her, she's killing it, oh my god." That's right, sometimes even fangirling is objectification. Krista, I will see you tomorrow.